There's a rise of awareness of autoimmune diseases in the country.
Why is your immune system attacking you? Why is it not doing the job of attacking pathogens and germs? Why is it attacking you? So many kids today are not even getting natural light anymore.
Why is it so important to heal emotionally? Are there any scientific ways which can help them heal?
A lot of people use hereditary as an excuse because your sleep deprivation is also interrelated directly with your obesity. The amount of emotional stress that a woman carries is enough to set off endometriosis, uterine fibroids, PCOS, and be the only reason that they don't lose weight.
Hello everyone. In today's episode of The Vital Edit, we have with us Coutinho. He's a pioneer in the field of integrative medicine and lifestyle. He's helped millions of people take control over their health through very simple root cause healing. From leading national wellness missions to supporting free cancer care in the country, Luke has been dedicated to making preventative health easier and accessible for all. Welcome to the podcast, Luke.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So today in our podcast, we're going to be discussing a lot of things, starting from balanced nutrition to healthy exercising to meaningfully engaging in the diet to nutrition to sleep and a lot more. We want to start with understanding about the gut. There's a lot of awareness about gut issues today and the fact that the gut is the second brain. Mm-hmm. So what is your take on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think anyone who's studied anatomy, and that's possibly everyone in the medical world, knows the correlation between the gut, which is also known as the second brain, the enteric nervous system, and our brain. There's an HPA axis and there's a lot of communication happening in between. So today we even know that if a patient is going through depression, they will have gut problems, and they do. And at the same time, if you have really poor gut health, you can also have symptoms of depression, not clinically diagnosed as clinical depression, but you can have feelings of depression, feeling low, feeling disinterested, feeling uninspired. And then when you start to work with the gut, those symptoms start to disappear. So there is a direct correlation. In fact, the human body is a microscopic marvel of engineering, and everything is interconnected. And that's why today, we're in the field of integrative and lifestyle medicine. We're not alternative medicine. So our patients come from doctors, our patients go to doctors. And it's clear to see that you cannot just treat a gastric issue by looking at the gastric system alone. There are so many things, like I'll give you an example, an unexplained abdominal pain. So the doctor will rightfully give you a medicine, maybe check for acidity, give you an antacid. It keeps coming back. And when you look at it the holistic way, like when is this pain coming? And this pain is coming every time this young girl working in a corporate has her weekly meeting with her manager. What happens in those meetings? Highly stressed out, toxic manager, all of this. But the other days it's not happening. Now, does she really need the antacid? Does she really need medicine? Or does she really need to work with her emotional health, which is giving her that abdominal pain on that particular day? And on the other days, it isn't there. So the beauty of the human body is everything is interconnected, and the gut plays a primary role with neurotransmitters, with absorption, with assimilation, and it just connects everything in the human body together. So even if you have a neurological problem, even if you have diabetes, you still look at the gut because everything is interconnected.
So Luke, how do you define a healthy gut? Like for today's generation, what is a healthy gut? I see almost every second person having gut issues. And when I say gut, it could be a leaky gut to a constipation, people not feeling easy about their stomach, as you said, stomach discomforts. It's just almost like every second person. So what is a healthy gut? What's the definition of a healthy gut?
See, a healthy gut works, let's speak based on science and anatomy again. Every time we eat a meal, we eat it, we chew our food, it mixes with our saliva, it goes under your stomach, and then it reaches where this entire process is your digestive system. Your gut has a microbiome, and that's where it gets tricky because there are millions and millions of different fungi and viruses and bacteria, and everything's working in a beautiful ecology. Now, when this ecology gets even slightly pushed aside, for someone it may be bloating. For someone, it could create acidity. For someone, it could be the malabsorption of nutrients. So a perfectly working gut will have the good and the bad, but it'll be in proportion. It's just working. Like, when we're not actually human beings, we're all homobionts, which means we are connected with millions of organisms around us, even in this room right now. But it's all working perfectly until the ecology changes a little bit. Maybe that one night of sleep deprivation will shift the balance. Maybe overeating that meal will shift the balance. Maybe too much of junk and ultra processed food. Maybe a poor grade supplement will shift that balance. Maybe overdoing it on a probiotic will shift that balance. Or, of course, an antibiotic. So there are many, many, many things. Stress alone can change the balance. We're having too much of sugar, we're feeding the wrong bacteria. Now, suddenly we have more of the wrong bacteria and less of the good bacteria. That's when we start to bloat. We have dysbiosis. So a healthy gut doesn't mean that we want bloat sometimes. Doesn't mean that we want feel like burping sometimes. There could be a day because you're traveling, you woke up at a different time, you may feel a little constipated. These are okay. The point is when it starts to get chronic, you're always bloated, or you're eating a particular food that you know doesn't suit you and you're bloated, like maybe gluten, maybe dairy for some people, maybe a food intolerance for someone else. And we also know we have poor gut health when we're constantly craving sugar and carbohydrates. Because, the bad bacteria are living organisms. They live. What do they live on? Sugar. So, not to die, what craving is going to be expressed in the brain? Sugar. So that's also a good way. We can also crave sugar because we're used to it, we're addicted to it, we're feeling emotional and sad. But that's another great, great way to look at your gut health. Then, of course, we go a little bit lower. If you're constantly constipated, you're passing undigested food in your stools, or you have IBS-like symptoms. There's constantly loose motions. Your stools are not well formed. These are all clues that we get. All clues that we get. Brain fog is a great clue for us. People are like, Luke, I've slept well, but I just constantly feel like there's a brain fog. I feel dull in my head. We look at the gut again. Hormonal issues. If people have hormonal imbalances when girls come to us with PCOS, endometriosis, fibroids, we're still looking at the gut because the gut's regulating most of these hormones. While the doctor will treat them, you still need to look at the gut. So a healthy gut will also reflect on your skin. Like we have so many people who take, I'm a huge believer of collagen, but when the collagen's not working and they want to go on changing brands and taking more, it's not the collagen issue, it's a gut issue. So a lot of people want better skin, but they don't realize that it's an inside out process. Your gut results in better hair, results in better skin. So, for example, when we have patients with autoimmune conditions like psoriasis and eczema, you are going to look for an inflamed gut. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. So these are all the connections. A healthy gut will reflect on your skin, your hair, your energy levels. So these are all the clues and all the questions that we use when we're diagnosing a gut problem for an individual who comes to us.
Picking up from what you just said, is that when the gut is not good, even the energy levels are low. How does that really happen?
Absolutely. For most people, like they're, Luke, I'm eating healthy, but I did my blood reports. My hemoglobin's low. My B12 is low. Vitamins and minerals are low because all assimilation after we eat, it's not about what we eat.
What we absorb.
It's how we assimilate and absorb what we eat. And if I have an inflamed gut, I am not absorbing. I have my intrinsic factors low. I have B12 issues. Of course, there could be methylation issues as well. But the point is, I'm eating well, but I'm not absorbing. If I have low B vitamins, I'm unable to convert carbs into energy. So you're eating more and more carbs, thinking like, oh, up your carbs, I need more energy. But that's not the problem. I have less B vitamins, which where I'm unable to. And all that absorption happens in our gut. But if our gut's constantly inflamed, inflammation of the gut wall hampers your absorption of minerals and vitamins and even trace minerals, which are connected with your energy levels.
So, Luke, a lot of people would come to you and then probably you would diagnose the first thing you'd want to work is on the gut. But people, there's an audience which is not coming to you today. And for that audience, how do they identify that this is the right time to start working on the gut? Because most of the times they'll come to you, they would have, I won't say that they would have reached a chronic stage, but they would have reached a stage where it requires a deeper healing. How do we identify that, the gut is abnormally working? And are there anything that can be done at home or in our regular lifestyles that can actually help us in healing our gut? Maybe foods, maybe some lifestyle changes?
So everything can be done at home until it's too late.
Yeah.
And that's when you need medical intervention. So if you're overeating and it's causing gut problems, you have to stop overeating. If you're eating at irregular timings and it's causing acidity and gut problems, you got to correct your rhythm of eating. If you're eating junk and processed, it's a no-brainer. You got to cut that down. And so I always say I'm not against junk and ultra processed food. I mean, 5% of your diet, 10% of your weekly diet, it's absolutely okay. In fact, my fittest and longest living people eat everything, but 90% of their food, 95 is primarily whole foods. So I'm doing my fruits, I'm doing my nuts, I'm doing my vegetables, I'm doing my lean protein, whether it's veg, non-veg, doesn't matter. The gut's working the right way. In India, we have other problems, the misuse of antacids. They're all feeling uncomfortable, let's take an antacid. And now that's a bigger issue for the gut because when you take an antacid, after a while, you're creating low stomach acid. Now, the human body requires stomach acid, number one, to protect you from pathogens and germs. And that's why these people overdoing antacids, or unfortunately, some people need to be on antacids because of certain surgeries or
Medications.
product. But you can still balance it with food. Now they have problems of they constantly get stomach bugs. They constantly get diarrhea, infections, because stomach acid is that medium that kills bacteria and pathogens that come into us. The second thing is H. pylori, which is huge in our country. Low stomach acid, it's actually classified as a carcinogen today. And there are a ton of people in India living with H. pylori, which if you have, it comes with symptoms of constant burping, constant nausea, and gut issues, abdominal pains. And you should get yourself checked because you have to do an antibiotic course if you have it to kill that bacteria. If that bacteria continues to stay in your system, it impairs your gut absorption, and it's even bad for colorectal cancers and other cancers involving the abdomen. But the point is, people are taking so many antacids today. I'll eat that biryani. Oh, a little acidic, let's take an antacid. What else does stomach acid do, which is a big problem? Oh, my protein bloats me up. No, it's not your protein that bloats you up, unless it's substandard protein. You need stomach acid to break down protein into amino acids for absorption. So when people don't have the right amount of stomach and they say, oh, I feel bloated, I'm burping after protein, it's because they have low stomach acid. And most of that protein is never going to be absorbed. It's going to create a burden on the body, on the digestive system. So technically, if I had to give advice to people sitting at home, number one, stop overeating. Number two, late night meals are your biggest disaster. The body isn't made for late night meals. You may get away with it and stuff with your antacids and your enos and stuff, but it isn't. We don't have the receptors in our pancreas to produce insulin once the sun sets. I'm not saying eat at sunset. That's impractical. But try to bring your meals earlier. Three, whole foods. Junk and processed that is not made for your gut. It's made for your brain. It's a neuro exciter. It's made for you to love it so that you buy it more and more and more. So we got to just be mindful about these things. Be mindful about foods. Like how do you know a food doesn't suit you? If you've eaten a particular food and you start to feel nauseous or you start to feel bloated immediately and a drain in your energy, so check those foods. See patterns. Is it gluten? Don't just do what Instagram's telling you. Is it dairy? Which part of dairy? Is it lactose? Is it lactase? Is it both of them? So you get little clues. Your body's always giving you clues. Now think, am I constipated every day? Why? First, check your water intake. Water's fantastic. Check your fiber. It's good. Now what's wrong? What's wrong with it? Why are you constipated? Do you lack certain B vitamins? Are you lacking certain minerals, certain saturated fats? Because so many people are on fat diets in our country, cutting out oil and fats completely and stuff, or overdoing it on protein, which can also constipate them. So the point is, bring mindfulness and then you do it. Of course, you have a problem, always go to your doctor. It's always good because sometimes you have, like I said, an H. pylori bacteria, which you would never dream of. And the point is you want to get it diagnosed. So these are your sleep. If you're sleep deprived, you are going to have gut problems. So there are many, many things that go into, and everything I told you doesn't cost you money.
Yeah.
These are all little things that we've had people who have unfortunately flown in from different countries to come because they've had chronic gut issues and they've thought that they need experts to solve it. So they go to hospital, and finally, I'm telling you, that's the easiest money I've made. I'm being honest about it. The only thing they had to change was eat their meals on time and chew their food.
So what is the right time to eat the meals?
Yeah.
And how much do you think we need to eat?
It's different. I can't answer that question. It depends on how much you're working, depends on your weight, depends on your height. And no dietitian should ever tell you that. It has to come from us. Like yesterday, you were stressed out when you had to leave your car because of the floods, etc., etc. You were in a state of fight and flight, sympathetic. Your hunger will be very different from someone else who didn't go through that experience. As we become more mindful, we understand we're mostly eating out of habit. 4 rotis means I'll have 4 rotis every day. But sometimes we don't even eat mindfully to realize that, hey, I can just do it 2 today. Tomorrow I may need 5 because I worked out more. Maybe I trained some larger muscles. So the body is dynamically changing. And if someone really wants to know how much they need to eat, and then there's a calculation where you check, your calories, how much you're spending, how much you need, what your goal is, and then you can be on a 2,000 calorie plan, 1,500, depending on what your goal is. A lot of people do that. A lot of people get stressed out doing that because then they're constantly calculating calories and stuff, and that itself is a stress.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to say how much, but I would always go with what the Japanese have taught us. Eat 80% and wait. And most of us will find that we don't need to balance 20%. So start serving yourself a little bit lesser. And if you feel hungry, take some more. But don't start off with the same quantity that you've been doing for years and years. That's how it is.
I think that's a good principle to keep in mind.
Yeah.
So typically, how long is the gut healing process, and what does the gut healing process look like for people? Yeah.
So the gut healing process depends on for how long that person has abused their gut. Yeah, I've had people who have started to make changes, and in a week or less than a week, the bloating's disappeared, and it's not magic. There's no magic plan. It's just that they started to do the right things and they stopped doing the wrong things. It actually comes down to simplicity sometimes. Of course, some cases are more complicated. When they're on steroids, they're on antibiotics, the microbiome is wiped out, you got to rebuild, or patients going through chemotherapy. And that's why it is so important that patients going through chemotherapy, radiation, they have to have a parallel plan because it is destroying your gut. And if you're not building it up, that's when patients go through extreme side effects of the chemo, of the radiation and stuff. And we have categories of people who are looking after their gut while going through it, and they walk out with the most minimum side effects. So it's unbelievable. So it really depends on when you start to make the changes. Everyone is different. Some people start to heal immediately. Some people have a problem with sugar addiction. So of course the process is going to be a little bit more because they'll be good for 10 days and then they'll binge and eat sugar and they'll go back 10 steps. It's different for everyone. I've seen, all of us are bio individuals. Some people rapidly heal. Some people take their time. There are so many little things that you have to put together. But once you start the process is very simple. It starts off with elimination. First, take out the most inflammatory foods that you have. Reduce your junk. We never stop people. Reduce it. Some people are no, I just want to get better. Okay, then stop it for 5 days and see what happens. They stop it and they, wow, I'm feeling so good. And now they're motivated not to go back on junk or to cut it down. So the process is never a piece of paper telling them what to eat. That is important. What not to eat, what to eat. You look at their lab parameters, you look at their D3, their B12, you get clues when you look at their hemoglobin, their ferritin levels. You get clues with a lab report. And then you look at their CRP levels, their inflammation levels, their ESR, and you look at their exercise. You look at their movement. I think a big problem in India is girls with their menstrual cycles, a lot of pain before. And they're working out heavy because someone on Instagram said, yeah, no matter what, push yourself. But they don't understand that every girl is different and every cycle is different. When they're going through it, their progesterone is low. Progesterone is important for gut motility. If you have less progesterone, that's the time you actually rest. So your bloating comes down. And some women can work out. Everyone's different. So you look at the exercise part of it. You look at improving sleep hygiene because that's 100% winner. And then you look at emotions, stress. What coping tools can they use? What corrective tools can they use? Who needs a therapist? Who has a psychological issue? Who's in a toxic relationship where nothing's ever going to change? So then how do you teach them acceptance? How do you teach them to join community groups where they can express themselves? This is all that goes into it. It's never just a probiotic. It's never just a particular food. It's never just a particular diet. All of these things go in for someone to understand that, hey, Luke, I felt so, like a common thing. Luke, I went to Europe. I ate everything, gluten, milk, everything. I didn't have any bloating. And that just shows you the quality of food. Yeah. The quality of food is so different from over. And they come back and they have all the problems again. So you also have to start looking at the quality of food, which is a big concern in our country, a huge concern in our country. So today it's very difficult to find a spice brand that is 100% clean. And we use spices all the time. In every one of our curries and masalas and stuff. And sometimes you just think. And so sometimes we have to put a patient who has a really bad gut on a sattvic diet, which is very bland. No onion, no garlic, no spices, whatever. And all of a sudden they start to thrive. They're doing well. Now, is it the spice? Is it whatever? Is it the adulteration? And then we slowly start to build them up. So yeah, it can heal as soon as we start to do the right things.
So as you said that, maybe you start seeing healing within a week of maybe eliminating a few
there's no magic. There's no magic.
There is a compliance which is required.
Of course. See, for anything in life.
Yeah.
Anything in life.
Yeah.
There is consistency that's required. There is no quick fix. I have patients who are taking Manjaro, patients who are taking Ozempic, all of them. And it's unbelievable, fascinating to see the data. Fascinating. The ones who are taking it and are building discipline along the way and doing everything will keep the weight off. The ones who never had discipline before and took it as a quick fix have put all the weight back on again. And they've gone back, and now the doctor says, I can't give it to you. I can't keep giving it to you. And now they're depressed because everyone complimented them for their fantastic weight loss, and now they don't want to go out of their homes. So the point is, everything in life will come down to consistency, some amount of discipline, some amount of action, and some amount of patience as well. So that's how it is. Yeah.
We move to autoimmune diseases.
Mhm.
There's a rise of autoimmune diseases. There's a rise of awareness of autoimmune diseases in the country. And we see a lot of conversation on Instagram, on YouTube about this. Uh, did autoimmune diseases uh, occur as much as they're occurring today earlier as well? And when does the body start fighting really against the body itself?
Mhm. From the moment you have a weak ANA, which is an anti-nuclear test, positive, your body has started attacking you a long time ago. So technically, autoimmune has always been there. It's grown massively in the last 10 to 15 years because look around. When something's growing, you have to look beyond Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah.
Stress levels have grown, chronic stress, which means sleep deprivation has also grown, emotional issues, gut issues. That's how society is. And the human body is trying to maintain a balance of an immune system in an environment that is not allowing it to do. Of course, sometimes you find a celiac patient, and if you find them really quickly and you just stop gluten, their psoriasis, eczema, everything goes into remission immediately. No steroids, no immunosuppressants, and that's why today we've been proactively asking for these tests 10 years ago. And we would get shot down by doctors like, how can you even ask for that test? There's a time to ask for it. But our job is preventive medicine. And we would find out that the patient was celiac and stopped gluten, and that's it. They never needed an immunosuppressant until they, by mistake, ate gluten, or they ate gluten because, hey, they were out, they wanted to have a pizza or something. The same thing with lactose intolerance. So it's very important to be preventive over here. So the immune system, it is rising, like you rightly said. Sleep deprivation has risen massively, affecting our neurological system, leading to MS and all of these things. There is a reason for everything. And then, of course, if there's a strong gene in the family, you will get it. You will get it. Can you get better? Of course, because we understand epigenetics today. We understand that our lifestyle can upregulate and downregulate genes. So we have many patients who are in remission, and we have many patients who are still on steroids, but their dependency on steroids from having it every month has gone down to maybe once in 6 months, once in a year when there's a flare up.
Wow.
And trying to find out what is the trigger point of that flare up. And it's unbelievable. Most of our clients today know, and even people who are not our clients but consume our content will say, look, I get a flare up when I'm stressed. I get a flare up when I'm sleep. I get a flare up when my mother-in-law visits me. I get a flare up when I've had this particular food. So we're happy that they're aware, because now when you're aware of it, you correct what the root cause is, and your dependency on the steroid or the immunosuppressant, which is the same, goes down. So we have to understand that autoimmune it's not really a disease. It's a phenomenon when, why is your immune system attacking you? Why is it not doing the job of attacking pathogens and germs? Why is it attacking you? So there could be, like I said, a strong gene, but that's honestly a very small percentage of the cases.
Majority is what? Majority, like for example, you have 100 patients whom you feel that have
2%,
autoimmune.
3%, max 4%.
So what is the majority then? Largely
Stress and sleep. Stress and sleep. If it's a food trigger, you usually find it out, because today you can immediately, like, in fact, before someone comes for a consult, get your test done, because I'll solve your problem right then. I may not have to put you on a program. If you're celiac, I'll stop your gluten. If you still have a problem, come back to us. So the idea is it's a lot of these things together. And also another emerging problem, and this is probably the first show I'm discussing it on, so many kids today are not even getting natural light anymore. They're not getting sunlight, natural light. So after a while, they've become resistant to sunlight. And now they get skin issues that are causing their psoriasis and eczema. And the doctor rightly has to tell them that don't go in the sun. That's their flare up. Now you have bigger issues when you can't expose yourself to sunlight and natural light. So you see, societies change in such a way, and that's why we're encouraging parents, let your kids have screen time, whatever it is, but they have to get outdoor time
Wow.
every single day. That's how powerful the impact of nature on our bodies are.
So you've been dealing with a lot of patients across, and I've seen a lot of stories or conversations that you've posted on psoriasis healing. And do you have any such example where food and some change in lifestyle has actually healed people completely or massively?
Absolutely. And like I said, I mean, if someone gets a flare up, like a young 14-year-old gets a flare up, I mean, I will support the doctor in giving her a steroid because she's growing up, she's in school, she doesn't want to be bullied, and all of these things are more important. But parallelly, we're working to figure out what is the flare up and remove it. So if it's gluten, we're removing it. We've had cases, and they're all on our website because we don't put a case without pictures. We're here to inspire people with real stuff. It's easy to talk. It's easy to, tell people this happened, that happened. And when people see the changes, that's just that your immune system has started to relax. And that's why the psoriasis is fading, the eczema's going into remission, and all of those things. And what are some of the most common things? Reducing your sugar because you're reducing inflammation. Psoriasis is inflammatory in nature. There are multiple, cells growing massively and putting those patches on your skin. Some have been miraculous just removing gluten, just removing dairy. So even before people come to us, we say for 10 days, get off gluten, get off dairy, then come to us for an appointment. Because if some of them come with, look, we're already feeling better. Now we can just put them on a path. We don't have to put them on a program. Some people come with nothing change. Then we know it's not that. There's something bigger than that. So psoriasis in young kids, our questions are, does the child bedwet? What's happening with the parents? Are they fighting every day? Because when children are anxious, their safety is threatened. They see their parents. We've had cases like that. And the moment the parents figure, oh, it's us, no, whatever, and they calm down, whatever, the kid starts getting better. So medicine has its place, and we're always supportive of medicine at a symptomatic level. But everyone has to find address the root cause, and these are the simplest ways to do it. So in our country, people say, oh, it's hereditary. A lot of people use hereditary as an excuse. That, oh, my dad had it, so I'll have it. Yeah, so my point, so what are you going to do about it? Are you just accepting it? What are you going to do about it? So even if you do get it, maybe your medication could be the least dosage.
Yeah.
But you have to do something about it. So yeah, that's about autoimmune. It's growing, and it is going to grow more and more.
And as you rightly said that, it's not just autoimmune, but a lot of other things which are impacted by our daily life and lifestyle. And obesity is one of them, where people end up giving up on, I cannot lose weight because I have a PCOD and PCOS or an XYZ factor. But it's actually some basics that we're not even trying to comply with.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Because PCOS, see, I will be honest. I mean, women struggle to lose weight when they have PCOS, when they have endometriosis, but it is possible. Many of them do it, and some of them don't. And that's when you get deeper into human behavior. Half of them are sleep deprived. And that is the reason they have PCOS. That is the reason they have endometriosis. So they can take all the meds they want, they can do HRTs, all of that stuff. But if you don't correct that main problem, because your sleep deprivation is also interrelated directly with your obesity. And then you have a whole load of people who lie. They say, yeah, I'm doing this. But one weekend negates all the 5 days of good work that they've done. We have a huge issue of vaping in our country.
Yeah.
We have a huge issue of alcohol abuse, and all of these contribute. But they look around, but everyone's drinking, but but it's affecting your body. I have a 94-year-old patient. He has lung cancer. 4th stage since he was 84 years old. Chain smoker. The guy's still living to 94. Does this mean that everyone else can smoke? He's just different.
Wow.
There are people like that. But now people will say, oh, he smoked. My grandfather lived at 102 and he did this. Yeah, that's him. That's not you. So we have to understand that there are all of these things. The amount of emotional stress that a woman carries is enough to set off endometriosis, uterine fibroids, PCOS, and be the only reason that they don't lose weight.
Yeah.
And we see this all the time because I know when a diet's going to be useless. I know it. I still have to give it because people want something tangible. So in that case, it's a placebo. And I know 90% if they work on this particular emotional thing, and because they're feeling better, they start to work out more consistently. Because they work out more consistently, they feel better. And if you work out, you get more tired, you sleep deeper. It's a cycle. Most people don't need diet plans. they need to be coached into behavioral change. And of course, people with diseases need to eat for their disease. And that's when a beautiful plan on cellular nutrition, what to put, what supplements to manage the side effects of a medication need to go in. So it's actually very scientific and it's an art as well.
So we discussed about how mental health is very important, and a lot of the diseases or these conditions arising because of either stress or sleep. And I think they both are very interlinked, the stress and the sleep.
Yeah.
So there is also a lot of toxicity in emotions that's rising, and baggages of emotion that people carry, which which we don't understand, but eventually over a period of time they get stored in our body.
Sure.
They may be starting with some deeper neck and shoulder pains and moving into chronic diseases like cancer.
Yeah.
So why is it so important to heal emotionally? And for people who do not have let's say a confidant to talk to or understand how do they heal, are there any scientific ways that they can deploy at their own places which can help them heal? Yeah, I want to talk about it.
Yeah. So I think whenever we think about the body and emotions, you got to think of a pressure cooker. Right? The pressure has to release, otherwise the pressure cooker eventually explodes. All of our cells store emotions and feelings. That's how it works. Period. Now we can get away with a lot. We learn to cope. We have to look back again at the history of India. Why would our grandparents and then, they were never expressed. We call them a strong generation. They kept everything and nothing happened to them. You got a slap, everything. We had colonial rule. You were not allowed to express. That became their way of living it, passed down to their parents, passed down to us. Now the generation is breaking it because we have knowledge to understand that you can't keep these emotions in you anymore. It doesn't mean that we become emotionally loose and we just go expressing to everyone. There's the right way of doing it, there's the wrong way of doing it. At the same time, many of us can be mature enough to process the emotions. Everything doesn't have to be shared. That, oh, this really made me feel bad, but I'm processing it. Okay, fine. Yeah, it was my ego, it's my pride, whatever. I'm changing. The point is when the emotions are, and there are those specific emotions, resentment, guilt, blame, anger, jealousy, envy, feeling like you're stuck in a corner, you can't express yourself, all of these emotions. Anger. Anger isn't a bad emotion unless it's channeled the wrong way. You need anger to do so many different things. If the army didn't have anger, there wouldn't be an army. But it's channeled. It's learned how to channel. All of us need to have that. I'm angry with the food chain. I need that anger as a motivation for me to try to figure out what can we do to correct the food chain. So the point is, you said you found me strict. It's a way of me, I work in a line where it requires people to rise beyond the BS. If you have a third stage cancer, okay, and people are telling, yeah, this is okay. A doctor's telling you, eat what you want, have ice cream, it's okay. No, you can't. You just can't. So over time, I've developed a certain, assertiveness about myself, which comes into my personality at some point because you want to rise above the BS. I can choose to be the calm guy. Yeah, you can do this, do that, but that's not me. That doesn't come naturally. So that would be me suppressing an emotion. So if I have to tell someone that this is the cause of what you're doing, the medical world never wants to give you a direct answer of why you got your cancer, even though they will know it in most cases. Even though they will know it in most cases. They don't want to tell you. But today I have clients walk into my office saying, Luke, I know I got my breast cancer because I've been in this toxic relationship, living with resentment. I've not said anything.
Wow.
I feel it. Women have intuition. Men will come and say, Luke, I got my prostate cancer. I've been this irritable man throughout my life, trying to manage my home, my wife, my kids, my work, my boss, and stuff. And all I do is listen. They've come up with this. And then there have been books that I've written. There have been books written by medical doctors like Gabor Mate, who's written an entire book on the correlation of emotions with disease, direct correlations. But you see, why healthcare has become sick care in our country? Because everything is fragmented. Imagine if everything came together. Emotions came with medicine, whatever, and stuff. But no one will ever want it that way because it'll break the money trail, and I can guarantee you that. So it's always going to be fragmented. And that's why it's important for people to increase their awareness and say, how can this medicine alone heal me? It can treat me. Please take it. It can prevent me from dying. But why am I constantly getting sick? Why is my cancer coming back all the time? Why am I getting an autoimmune flare up all the time? I need to look beyond the symptom. You'd have a whole ton of doctors slamming down supplements, all of that. Of course, there is a misuse. People can be stupid and overdose vitamins that sound good, and it can cause toxicity and problems. And they believe in liver supplements that can heal their liver when they should actually be going to the doctor. So they have their point. But hey, when your food's not giving you the vitamins and minerals, you need to get it from somewhere else. So either you talk about it or you integrate that into your medical curriculum. The point is we have these conversations. The doctors on our podcast now are talking about these things. They're saying, yeah, look, medicine alone cannot heal you. We need the support of nutrition. We need them to see an emotional counselor. That's how it's changing, but it's fragmented. A lot of doctors are doing it and a lot are not. A lot of nutritionists are being holistic and a lot are still with the same don't eat this, one katori of beans, this, and it's never going to help anyone. So the whole point is coming back to all of these things, mental health and emotional health is directly connected with everything. Let me give you the simple thing now based on science. Do our emotions control our appetite? They do. If it can control your appetite, what else is it controlling? Everything at a physiological state. Can our emotions control our hormones? Of course they can. So does my emotional health have a play in diabetes with insulin? Yes, it's a hormone. With thyroid, thyroxine, it's a hormone.
With fertility.
With everything.
Yeah.
Every single thing. We've had patients who they've said, the gynecologist said, no, now you need to go to a fertility clinic. And they just, for religious beliefs, they don't want to go there. And they'll come in desperation. And the only thing, and I'll tell you, this is unbelievable. We ask them to try to conceive, if they can, outside of their environment. So some will go for a holiday, some will go whatever, and you'll be shocked at how your environment of where you are toxic and living in a joint family was not the conducive environment. The girl's prolactin levels are going up, stress, all of that stuff. And stress will not allow you to conceive. So many of them have just changed their stress environments or stress and they've conceived. And of course, some people have genuine issues and have to go for fertility treatment. But so you got to put these things together. There's no one shoe fits it all. We can't just say natural is the only way. No, sometimes you need medicine. Most of the times you'll need it. The pathogens are changing. Viruses are changing. They can kill you. I would want to be treated. But the point is everything has to work together, interconnected. The point is it isn't. So mental stress and emotional stress is a big one. If a woman's prolactin levels are high, she cannot conceive. This is the body's own way of not allowing it to happen. It's as simple as that. So the point is, you can use a medicine to bring down prolactin, and hey, you probably conceive, but you're not solved your problem of how am I, as a human being, learning to navigate through my emotions, learning to navigate through my stress, because eventually that stress is going to catch up with you in a different form, in a different condition.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the relevance of emotional and mental health in today's world.
So going back to my question, Luke, for people who do not have outlets, and we're talking about maybe people not around us, but people probably living in toxic relationships, don't have an outlet to really step out of it, or don't have the confidence or maybe the surroundings to support them. In such cases, what is it that they can do to ease out their mental stress? Are there any techniques?
Yeah. So, I mean, journaling, a lot of people have sworn by journaling. It's just them, their connection. They write, they tear it up. Some people record voice notes of how they're feeling, like they're talking to someone. Because a lot of people, trust me, don't want to go to therapists. It's still a taboo in our country. That would be the best, to go to a counselor. But a lot of them in toxic relationships, the partner doesn't allow them to go. Then what do? Having that one friend or a family member or something. The idea is, and a lot of people, that's also a big issue we should talk. Expression doesn't mean your problem will be solved. Because a lot of people, look, what's the point? Nothing will change. This is my... I say, yeah. Don't go with the intention that you need to have a solution for it. The idea of expression is letting it out. Letting it out. And that's why people feel so good after they've spoken to a counselor. What did the counselor do? Just listened. Just listen. And just that changed everything. Just that changed everything. So these are the outlets that you can do. Now people are opening up to counselors or people that they can talk to. There are online groups where women can find a safe space, men can find a safe space, and they can share, be open, talk and all of those things and stuff. So that's also, these are different ways of expression. I know some people who don't want to do any of these because they've just been brought up in that world where they don't trust anyone. Okay, they found their outlet through spirituality, talking to God. talking to the divine, and they feel calmer, they feel unjudged, they feel. So there are many, and I'm not going to impose one on everyone's different, but these are some of the different things that we can do. Some people express through art. I remember I had a client, very, very critical client. We had to fly him to Switzerland, and he was in an addiction center. And he finally found his way to express the years of hatred through art. I couldn't believe it until I sat through the session, and then the teacher, who was a psychologist, told me, I couldn't understand. I just couldn't understand, how does art, how do you express through art? I know you can express through music because I played a piano, I understand. And then she showed me all his work and how it was coming out, and it was unbelievable. So you can find different ways of expression.
So we've talked about toxicity. We talked about chronic stress, and how do people deal with it, or how can people really deal with it at their own end. And we talked earlier about these maybe in the life, in the moment instances where your anxiety goes up, or you suddenly get the stress, maybe just before an interview, or maybe just before something which is critical. And is there a way people can control that stress in that moment? Is there any technique that you'd kind of suggest?
The only way is your breath.
Okay.
Because a motivational talk won't help you at that point. It's your breath. And at that point, if you're constantly, stressed out about a particular thing, that's the time you go home and you do your homework. Like, where does anxiety, what's wrong with anxiety? Anxiety is an emotional signal to protect us, to give us information. But most people keep building on it. When you're anxious about something, like, what am I anxious about? The weather? Okay, fine. What can I do? There's an action you need to take it. There's no action, you have to surrender, accept, or let go. Most people are anxious about things and people that they cannot control. So I give this exercise to everyone. What are your stresses in life? A person, a thing, a job? Write them down. Now, at the side of each of them, write down what is in my control and what is out of my control. Most people will find out that they're anxious about the things and people that are out of their control. And they're always going to be anxious. It's out of your control. You can't change the weather. You can't change someone's personality. You can change other things. But what's in control, people get stuck at the action. That, I'm so stressed, I'm putting on weight, am I going to get diabetes? Yeah. What's the action? Are you working on? Oh, no, I'm not working on. You're not taking the action. So the quickest way, coming back to your question, is your breath. The moment you slow down your breathing, you can move from the sympathetic, which is fight and flight, to the parasympathetic, which is rest, digest, and repair, just by slowing down my breath. The problem may still be in the room. So let's say we're in a room right now and I'm really stressed out. Okay, we're discussing something that I don't like. But internally, I'm just slowing down my breathing. My conscious mind still doesn't like what you're saying. But internally, my cortisol, adrenaline, everything is working beautifully because my breath is slow. The moment the breath gets erratic, it moves you to the sympathetic nervous system. Whether it's an email stress, someone saying something, it's a fire, doesn't matter. The body responds to cortisol. So if I say something that you don't like right now, the first thing that's going to happen in your body to make you angry is push up cortisol and adrenaline. Sympathetic nervous system. Now you can fight and flight, protect yourself, defend yourself from what I'm saying. So the quickest way is slow down your breath. So if your inhale is, let's say, 3 seconds, make your exhale 6 seconds. Ratio of 1:2. If it's 4 seconds, make it 8 seconds. You finish a stressful meeting. You feel a little not centered anymore.
Yeah.
It takes you less than 2-3 minutes to do 6 counts of box breathing.
What is box breathing?
So what is box breathing? Simple. If my inhale is 4 seconds, it's going to be like a box. Inhale 4, all through the nostril. Inhale 4, hold 4. Exhale 4. You can do the exhale through your mouth or your nostril. That's optional. And then hold 4 again. So it's like a box. Now, if it's 3 seconds, it's 3 seconds. But this is a beautiful way to, you'll feel really calm. There's the 4-7-8, which is fantastic, used in the army. So it's a 4-second inhale, 7-second hold, and then a slow 8-second exhale. Yeah. Now, this you could do maybe sometimes before bedtime, or you're just in the car and there's a lot of traffic and you want to just calm down. So find what works for you. Now, I've told you all of these 3, but which is the one that works for me? They all sound great. The 1:2. Just 4 seconds and 8 seconds. So everyone will find what works for them. So it's not like the box breathing is the only way. 4-7-8 is the only way. It's different for everyone. Some people like diaphragmatic breathing. Some people just go home, they go to their room, they roll out a yoga mat and they go into Shavasana and they just belly breathe. And they're like, look, I fell asleep. So whatever works for you, but it works on the same principle, slowing down the breath so that you move to the parasympathetic nervous system And that's how you regulate stress. The biggest issue why stress causes disease, chronic stress,
Yeah.
is because it dysregulates our nervous system. We have our central nervous system, we have our autonomic nervous system, and our peripheral nervous system, which controls pain and everything else. So the autonomic is working automatically, but we are in control of using our breath, slowing down, going for a walk in nature. Immediately we start to feel calmer. Why? Because all of these have a direct impact on our hormones and our neurotransmitters.
So, Luke, we talk about heart health, and there's a surge in the cases of heart attacks, especially post COVID. Um, some attribute it to the vaccinations we've taken, to largely, staying at home and building up of stress. But when I look around, people earlier heart attacks or heart issues were largely being attributed to the audience which is 70 and above. It was very natural, right? Today we're seeing mid 30s, early 40s having sudden heart attacks. People who are fit and fine, probably be running a treadmill, suddenly falling out. What has really changed, Luke, that the heart attacks are on the rise?
So first we have to understand that the media is creating the biggest problems, because number one, they're only picking up the famous people who die and putting their lifestyle. It's not a true story. There are so many other people dying of heart attacks and stuff, and the media needs drama. So that's the whole thing, and I have to say that out because they're creating fear.
Yeah.
I want to go back into the basics. I'm not going to talk about the COVID because ICMR has recently passed a whole new thing saying there's no correlation. Then could go debate. Do I have a personal thing? Is there of course there's a correlation. There's no doubt about that. But okay, the population trying to chase, they just want that little thing as a consolation that, hey, I don't have to do anything else. But, oh, the COVID caused it, the COVID caused it. So what are you doing about it now? People who took the vaccination, what are you doing about it? And that's when you go deeper into lifestyle. People are getting heart attacks because of sleep deprivation. Again, the medical world will never talk about this, even though in medical curriculum it is directly correlated sleep deprivation, chronic sleep deprivation, with a cardiac event and a heart attack. Okay? And look around. Our own prime minister is pushing for better sleep. I met him in Feb. He's given us a whole project to work on, and one of them is sleep. And sleep deprivation is huge. Sleep deprivation leads to obesity, which leads to heart attacks. And we're just trying to use diets to sort out obesity. It's a vicious cycle. Secondly, most of the cases, the media will never tell you about the drug addiction habits of people dying because of heart attacks. We know cocaine, we know that Molly and all of these drugs, especially if you have a weaker heart, can create a sudden surge because the drug works by pushing up your heart rate. That'll never come out. They'll never talk about the anabolics and the steroids that people are using. They'll never talk about the so-called longevity IV drips that are happening and all of these things and stuff like that, which is not scientifically proven yet to be completely safe for a human being. So you're that one person who has a weak heart. Like we had a cardiologist on our show who used to say that every year the marathons happen and every year people die. You know how, I think it was Italy or Rome, he talks about, you know how they solved that problem? To register for a marathon, you had to upload your ECG. A simple 100 rupee test can save your life. Can save your life and tell you whether you should run or not. And they reduced their cardiac arrests and heart attacks only by doing that one little thing. So a lot of people don't know they have weak hearts. Then the biggest thing, in the desperation to lose weight, people are overtraining and undersleeping. The worst combination is overtraining and undersleeping. So if someone said that, Luke, I'm sleep deprived, really sleep deprived, 4 hours, should I work out today? My actual answer will be don't work out.
Because there's no recovery.
Go for a walk.
Yeah.
Do something light, but don't do these things. But there's something way bigger than all of these things. And again, it comes down. In integrative and lifestyle medicine, you always look at the root cause. For any cardiac event to be staged, okay, you can have cardiac events, heart attacks because of plaque forming in the artery. You have your symptomatic approach. You get your angiograms done. You get your stents in. You get your whatever it is. But for any cardiac event to happen, it first started with one commonality that no one in the medical world can debate. No one in the nutrition world can debate. It is damage to the endothelial lining of your blood vessels. Okay. I'm going to explain it very simply because if people understand this, they'll understand whatever your reason may be to get a cardiac arrest, that's secondary. But for it to even happen, what got damaged in the heart? Today, children as young as 18 and 19 will start accumulating plaque in their arteries. And that's why you'll see the event happening at 30
Mm-hmm.
because they have more access to junk, processed. Go back 15 years ago, did we have access to all of these things? No. So plaque formations happen later in life. Today, the way teenagers are eating and young kids are eating, they're going to start forming plaque at 12, 13, 14, 15, which means if they don't take care of themselves, the cardiac event is going to present itself in 30s and even 20s. So we can blame it on what we want, but this endothelial lining is the inner lining of your blood vessel, your artery. Okay? This has many functions. It's like a net. It controls your immunity, inflammation, blood pressure. Think of it, it allows your blood to flow smoothly. Okay, if there's any friction, okay, blood pressure will damage. There's little friction and it'll create little crevices, and that's where plaque can go in and form. But the endothelial lining is like a smooth lining. It's like the lining of a pipe. It's covered by a gel-like protein called your glycocalyx. If this gets damaged, because of what damages it? High blood pressure, because it's constantly eating away, eating away. You've seen how rocks are shaped in a river? When the river's moving smoothly, the rocks are all smooth. But you go to a waterfall, the rocks are more jagged. Why? Because there's constant pressure of the water shaping the rock differently. So what happens now is any cardiac event, unless you're born with a birth defect, okay, it starts off with damage to the endothelial lining and the glycocalyx. Now, what causes this? There's a very important function. The endothelial lining protects itself by producing something called nitric oxide. Okay? It's producing nitric oxide to reduce inflammation, to control pressure. When we don't eat the foods that can help us produce nitric oxide, when we don't breathe the right way that helps us produce nitric oxide, when we're doing things that reduce nitric oxide like chronic inflammation in the body, the endothelial lining starts to degrade. The glycocalyx starts to degrade. And now I have a stage set for a cardiac event. Doesn't matter how fit I am, and doesn't matter how unhealthy I am.
No.
So the point is, this is where foods come in. Protected, the basics. And that's why the supplement world in the US is exploding with nitric oxide supplements. Exploding with it. Why? For the right reasons. Beetroot, arugula, spinach, all of these things help your endothelial linings produce more nitric oxide. Then making sure we have cruciferous vegetables because of the sulforaphane, which actually helps us repair these linings. So I can go through as many. It's very common for one person in India to have one stent and then 2 and 4 and 5. The point is, why is this particular patient going on increasing plaque? Because you never fixed the basics, which is the endothelial lining. You never started to live a life. Sleep deprivation can cause the endothelial lining to inflame.
Yeah.
Chronic stress will produce high blood pressure, which by the time you get diagnosed, people don't realize that how long have I been living with it? That's when the silent damage is, which is why there's a clear message to people on high blood pressure medication. Do not be, and I'll use the word, do not be ignorant to stop it without your doctor. Because the damage will happen when you have the silent spikes. There are ways to get off your medication. Make your lifestyle changes, let your pressure come down. Your doctor says, oh, it's come down. Let's reduce your medication. Let's reduce it. Now you no longer need it. But if you're in a high stress environment, I'm not going to stop you from your blood pressure medication. It can save your life. The second biggest issue in India is diabetes. High blood sugar levels will eventually cause issues with your endothelial lining, which is why if you're diabetic, please take your medication. You can do what you want. We have patients who have reverse type 2 diabetes, but we've not stopped their medication when they came to us. It's because they've made lifestyle changes that now their blood sugar levels are going so low that the doctor says, hey, Luke, I need to reduce the medication and reduce it, otherwise the patient goes into hypoglycemia. That's how you get off medication in a safe way. And that's when I have my issues with Ayurveda, homeopathy, not the whole thing, where people arrogantly say, stop all your medications and come to me. No, you can't. You can't. These are great for small issues, but not for big issues. And that's where I have, again, it's in a fight of egos. My system of medication is better than yours. There are great Ayurvedic doctors, great homeopaths who will never stop your medication until you've learned to change your lifestyle and put it in. And then there are other issues with that. But the point is, the moment someone, I tell it to anyone, the moment someone says, my system of medicine is better than yours, you do not have the right doctor or practitioner in front of you. It's a game of ego and pride. It's a game of ego and pride. So coming back to this, that is the reason. So now when someone's doing drugs all the time, what do you think is going to happen within the arteries? I'm eating junk and processed. I'm creating inflammation. Inflammation is the biggest enemy of the artery. So how can I repair the glycocalyx? How can I repair the endothelial lining? Simple foods like beetroot, spinach. People living in the West, arugula grows hydroponically right now. Of course, if you have other issues and you can't have beetroot, etc., that's when you would go onto a nitric oxide supplement. My breath work, diaphragmatic breathing, it's great for vagal tone, great for nitric oxide. Humming. Humming is such an easy way to improve nitric oxide in your system. And then your lifestyle, trying to sleep a little bit better, learning how to control your stress levels. Exercise is fantastic, as we all know, for your endothelial lining. What kind of exercise? It could be even a walk. But as long as you get your heart rate up, your endothelial lining start to work. HIIT is great for the people who can do it. Short bursts of sprints, HIIT, fantastic for the endothelial lining. And then your foods like your cruciferous vegetables, your onions and garlic, if your diet allows you to eat that, the basics.
Yeah.
All the basics. So this is the basic. It doesn't matter who died of what. The thing is, that's the whole idea. Everyone's in the drama, fear. What are you doing? What are you doing to prevent a cardiac arrest? So your screenings. It's so important to get your screenings done. What screenings? Cholesterol, triglycerides, HDL, LDL is no longer part of the game. Get that done. You want to get your ApoB tested. If your ApoB is higher, that's when, think of it as a lipoprotein, which is now going to stick to your endothelial lining. You don't want anything sticking to your endothelial lining. Remember, you want it to flow. So that's when inflammatory particles stick. That's when your lipoproteins, which are the bad ones, start to stick. And because they start to stick, they can now form a plaque. And that's why when you have a plaque, you got to be on a statin. Of course, you can manage the side effects on a statin. The doctor puts you on a statin because you don't want the plaque to rupture, which can create a cardiac event. So you see, you can't keep pushing down medicine. You can't keep everything at the same time. Doctors can't tell you to eat what you want.
Yeah.
You see it? You're using the wrong oils. You're using too much of oil. You have inflammation in your endothelial lining. Can you repair your endothelial lining? Yes, you can. And it's never too late to start. So that one stent doesn't have to become two stents. One cardiac arrest doesn't have to become the next fatal one. So no matter what the media says, I want people to say, am I doing the basics? Because you cannot have a cardiac event without an endothelial lining which is, intact. It's not possible. Like I say the same thing about cancer. 5-6% heavy gene, no matter what you get it. You cannot have a cancer without a breakdown of the immune system, period. That's how it is. Your immune system is designed. You and I have cancer cells right now. They're not becoming cancers because our immune systems are working the right way. Now, what triggers it, whether it's a gene, whatever it is. But the basics of anatomy, you can't have a cancer if your immune system is working smartly.
Yeah.
So this is what we want to encourage people to get down to the basics.
Yeah.
We're asking you, the Prime Minister saying, reduce your oil, because it's way larger than just weight gain.
Yeah.
It's connected with all these little things. And look at the statistics in the country. Pre-diabetes, diabetes, inflammatory disease, cardiovascular, inflammatory disease. But what are we doing for inflammation? The least. So that's where, addressing the root cause comes in. So let me add to that. If you're a smoker, a vapor, your endothelial lining, you know what's happening.
Yeah.
You're weakening it more and more. That's why they say don't smoke and don't vape. So we're putting so much burden, and then we wonder, but I'm working out, but I'm doing this, but I'm taking supplements, and he's so fit. So I'm going to the gym and he had a cardiac arrest. Yeah. You didn't talk about his smoking. You didn't talk about his vaping. You didn't talk about the vaping right after a workout, especially the worst time to smoke a cigarette. I see people playing paddle and people playing games and immediately smoking a cigarette. I mean, smoke a cigarette, but there's a right time and there's the wrong time. Your heart rate's already up. All that, and you're putting this immense burden on your lungs and on your system. So there's a lot of ignorance. I don't say it in a disrespectful or derogatory way. And trust me, this ignorance is in the educated people.
Yeah.
It's in mostly the educated people. And that's where I say emotional. Well, look around. We have a problem of a feeling of entitlement, ego, and pride. Just because you have money, you drive a fancy car, you can get away with everything. It isn't that way. The human body is the human body. You got to respect it.
So, Luke, we'll discuss about natural and integrative remedies. Let's start with something that I I started following, or at least read more about after you published your book on dry fasting. So, how is dry fasting different from intermittent fasting? What kind of bodies can actually do what kind of fasting? And is it really required to fast for some time every day?
Yeah, so dry fasting means no water and no food. Intermittent fasting, you can have water. It's different for everyone. Should we be fasting? Of course we should. What is the definition of fasting? The gap we keep between meals. Some people will keep 4 hours, some people will keep 12, some will keep 16, some will keep 18. It really depends on your goal, number one. It depends on your lifestyle. A person who's leading a very clean lifestyle will not have the requirement to fast that much. And secondly, when you have a cleaner body, your body doesn't ask you for food so often. When our bodies are constantly asking us for food, it's because we have irregular sugar levels. It's different. A woman with a thyroid problem shouldn't fast that long. Pregnancy, of course, you shouldn't be doing it. So it's different for everyone. An athlete wouldn't fast that much because they need more energy. So it's really dependent on your lifestyle. It's become a fad today. Everyone's, I'm 16.8, and I ask them, why not 15? Why not 70? And they don't have an answer. So a lot of people want to ape different cultures without understanding in our own Indian culture, we have religious fasts which are beautifully made. Different festivals according to the moon, 1 day, 1.5 day. I think that's perfect. I think if most people just have an early dinner, they'll automatically fast for 14 to 15 hours
Yeah.
between dinner and the next breakfast. So it's always good to see what your goal is when it comes to fasting.
So, when is it that people should do dry fasting?
It's dependent. Like in Ramadan, they do it for 30 days.
Hmm.
It's what suits you. Like I would do 12 hours of dry fasting and then drink water. And the next 3 or 4 hours would be with water. So it really depends on what you're trying to achieve. I would say try it out and see where your energy levels are better. Most people have better energies with dry fasting. But then, of course, if you have a kidney issue, you're already dehydrated. The biggest issue of dry fasting is people dry fast, and then when they break their fast, they don't drink sufficient water.
Yeah.
So now they create dehydration, which is a bigger problem.
So, Luke, you talk a lot about, and we spoke earlier as well about how nature heals the body. Why it's important to start stepping out in the sun for your vitamin D, then always supplement it.
Yeah.
Or, why if we do not be in the rhythm for nature, the nature does not comply with us. The example that you took of children who are not going out to the sun, and how, that's creating a problem.
See, I think nature is always healing us, and most people are sick today because they've disconnected themselves from nature, from natural foods, more to junk. You have problems, more chemicals, only medicine, no lifestyle changes. It's only chemicals going in your body. People are more indoor than outdoor. The sun is information to us. Outdoor light is information to us. It controls infrared. We get it. People want to put infrared screens in their homes, but they don't want to spend time outdoors. And I don't have a problem with that, but it can never replace what nature does. So every time we look out at the sun, natural light, we take breaks, we move out from, all of these things. We try to control blue light from our gadgets at night, right before bedtime. This is all information to our cells and hormones. They control every activity in the human body, the circadian rhythm. So the circadian rhythm is controlled by light and by dark. So if we don't respect dark, we have a problem. We don't respect light, we have a problem as well. So it is extremely important. The human body is designed to heal us. It's designed. I mean, every doctor knows that medicine doesn't heal you. It treats the symptom. Finally, the body has to kick in. Every patient with cancer, everyone's waiting for the immune system to kick in. You can give chemo, radiation, nutrition, but finally the immune system has to kick in. Who does that? The body. Not the doctors, not the nutritionists. So that's why we have to have an immense respect for nature. And it starts with us understanding that we're all interconnected with nature. The moment I think human beings have become a little too arrogant, we think we're above nature. We think we're better than nature. We think we can replace nature with all our artificial stuff. And look around. Are we getting better as a world? Absolutely not. So we can develop, we can do what we want, but we have to interconnect with nature.
Luke, want to discuss about the power of movement. I know you've talked a lot about even this little walk that one needs to do, probably just a few steps that can be incorporated for a healthy heart, for a better sleep. Are there any like quick workouts for people who cannot step out, or probably, let's say you're traveling and you do not have equipments? You talk about this Tabata.
Yeah.
I want to discuss more about such things, and how much of a minimum exercise the body which can afford should do.
In today's world and today's time, any exercise is great exercise because people have become sedentary, filled with excuses. I mean, I believe they're excuses. I have the busiest people in the world finding time for exercise. most people have excuses because it's not important to them. You can work out in this space, you can use your body weight, you can do lunges, you can do squats. Of course, if you don't have a physical problem, you can do jumping jacks. You don't need a gym. And if you have a gym, use it. You can do Pilates, you can dance, you can walk, you can run. It's all available. The biggest issue are people's excuses. Everyone knows you can download a free YouTube video with a personal trainer right now, free, and say I have 15 minutes and do a 15-minute body weight exercise. You can do a 15-minute yoga class. I'm not even asking people to spend money. The point is, with all that, people are still not working out. It's a human behavioral problem. But the human body needs movement, period. For the immune system to work, inflammation to come down, to look after our brain health, our hormonal health, movement is mandatory. You don't have 1 hour, do 30 minutes. You don't have 30 minutes, do 15 minutes, but be consistent with it. Tabata is a 4-minute workout. You can YouTube it right now. It's 20 seconds all out, 20 seconds break. 20 seconds all out, 20 seconds. In 4 minutes, you're done. Even that amount of movement is great enough if you missed your workout today. So it's important for us to understand that movement is a medicine. It's extremely important. Yeah.
So, Luke, we are towards the end of our podcast, and I would like to discuss and know more about the recent book that you published, which is The Calm Prescription. What does it talk about, and how can it help people?
So the reason we wrote the book, The Calm Prescription, is because, and it's been endorsed by a lot of doctors from across the country and the world, because even they believe that today calm has to be a medicine. We can't go on medicating, putting people on diets when people have to learn how to take control of their lives. Life is tough. Everyone has problems. The book teaches them 75 simple techniques that don't cost you money on how to navigate through emotions and calm, like breath work, so many different things. And because we do believe that today, most people are sick because of chronic stress. So we decided that this book will not be about nutrition, will not be about exercise, because everyone already knows more or less what to do.
Yeah.
It'll be how important calm is for healing, for prevention, and giving them the tools to manage it. So that's what the whole book is about. It's already become an Amazon bestseller since 4 days of the launch. So we're happy about that. And the beauty is because people are realizing that this is what I want to fix.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
the book talks about all of these things. It talks about case studies. Like it talks about psoriasis, eczema, people when they just started to change their stress levels, things started to get better. The medicine started to work better. Their conditions started to go into remission. So that's what the whole book is about.
So thank you, Luke, for coming over all the way and giving us your valuable time.
Thank you for the amazing questions that you asked. I had a chance to actually explain, and you were very patient to listen and understand, because I do believe this is what we need at this particular point, understanding and action. So thank you for that as well.
Thank you.